We're coming right back with Dr. Renee Fontenot, and we're going to talk student entrepreneurship on GC Conversations. Hello, welcome to GC Conversations. I'm your host, Wendell Staten, where we talk every week about all things Georgia College. Faculty, staff, alumni, and friends, and our community folks come in. And today we're joined by Dr. Renee Fontenot. Renee, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Wendell.
And you've got some goodies out here that I don't know if this is a cooking show today or not. We've got some chives and sage and all that kind of thing, but I think we're going to be talking about how this relates to entrepreneurship a little bit later.
Yes, we will be.
Well, good. Looking forward to that. And you deal with an entrepreneurship program in terms of some students, but let's start back and go backwards a little bit. Let's take this first segment and talk a little bit about you, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, I'll move my prop here. So tell me how long you've been here and how you got to Georgia College. How about that?
I've been here this is my 7th year. I came here in the fall of 2005. I came here from Texas before that. And I came here because I had friends who worked here. I'd been here before, several years before, and had really liked the campus and had said, you know, if there's ever an opportunity. Right. And so an opportunity arose, and here I am.
Well, let me ask you that. I always like to ask people this who are fairly new here. Your view from Georgia College, where you were at, what impressed you, and then when you got here, maybe even, this really drove it home, but it's even more impressive. Kind of talk about that for a minute.
Well,
you said you liked the campus.
Yeah, 2005, we still had real large pecan trees on the front campus. And when I'd come out here in about 1999, somewhere around that time period, one of the faculty members had actually gathered a large shopping bag of pecans from the front lawn to give me as a gift. And I thought, what a cool gift. Yeah. That's one of the best gifts I've ever gotten because, it's right here, it's homegrown, it's part of campus. And then, here we are in a small southern rural community, and we have the best looking campus that I have ever, and I've been on a number of campuses.
Same here.
And this is really a gorgeous campus.
And our front lawn, where everybody talks, our front lawn is just absolutely gorgeous. It's picturesque.
It is. Our facilities people, they're here on Saturdays. I come in and I see them, and they are so fastidious about making sure that everything is just perfect. It isn't beautiful by coincidence.
Correct. That's exactly right.
It's a lot of hard work, and it shows.
Yeah, a lot of time and effort in that, and we have a beautiful campus, and a lot of people work hard to make sure that happens. So let's go back again now. So are you from the South originally? You're in Texas, you said.
No, okay. I'm originally from Oregon and Montana.
Okay, all right. So you've made the whole swing here, haven't you?
I've lived in about 11 states. And about half of them have been in the southern part. I've been New Mexico, Louisiana, Texas, Georgia. Right. So a number of them across the South, but Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Pennsylvania, so a number of them across the top as well. Yeah,
you have been a little bit everywhere. That's good. So a very diverse experience. How about when did you decide, I want to be a professor in college and teach business? When did that happen? Tell me about that process.
I was in sales, actually, for 10 years and was getting my MBA through an executive program at Gonzaga, which is in Spokane, Washington.
And your undergrad was in what?
Was business.
Okay.
It was business. When I didn't get into vet school, I got a degree in business.
Okay.
So there you go.
Gotcha.
And it was a natural transition there.
All right. Yeah.
So I was in sales, was doing the executive MBA, and it was in the period of time when women's opportunities were very limited. And so some faculty showed me that perhaps there would not be quite the glass ceiling as I'd head in sales. I had been #1 sales rep in the nation 2 years in a row, and that was as best as I was ever going to be able to have with that company.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they persuaded me kind of late into a school year, and so I started looking at programs and wound up at LSU. For my PhD coursework and did all my coursework there, and then circumstances with my dissertation. I finished that at New Mexico State University, and then from there I've been at Villanova University in Pennsylvania, and then Texas, and then here.
Okay, all right. So you didn't start out to be doing this, but you obviously love it now.
It has been interesting that it is a sales position.
Yeah.
And of course, I never thought I'd be in sales either, because I really didn't think I had the personality for it. When I took an undergraduate sales course, I knew that was something I would never do. So never say never.
Yeah, that's right.
Never say never. And teaching is really a passion for me, and I didn't understand that it would be. And for me, it's a passion because I'm able to marry the business and the development of students with the community, which has been a wonderful opportunity in coming to Georgia, coming to Milledgeville, where this community, despite its long legacy and family lines that have been here for generations and generations, I hope they feel like I do, that I belong here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it has been a wonderful opportunity to become part of this community. I feel like I'm part of this community, even though I'm a newcomer.
Being a newcomer myself, I can tell you I've been embraced just like you have, and this community is extremely welcome. This campus, this community, and this region. So it's been a wonderful experience and I see you out at an awful lot of stuff. And we're going to talk about this in just a minute, but you've become very involved in this community. I see you at Rotary. I see you at it seems like every grand opening I'm at or event I'm at, I see you there. So.
Well, I'm a member of the chamber, and that I take my role serious.
Yes, you do.
I also believe that in order to connect our students, we need to be connected with our community. And since I am teaching future business professionals, it's important that I know the business professionals of this community and hopefully can make some linkages, and I think we've done that here.
You know, let's talk about that for a minute. We have a very engaged student body here.
Yes, we do.
And that access to the community's access to our students, and that's just an excellent learning opportunity for everybody, and good things happen because of that.
Yes.
So I'm so glad to hear you, just like every person on campus I'll talk to talks about our kids and how impressive they are, and they get out there.
It is really a point of pride for me to be able to go to somebody in the community and with confidence invite them to come to my class and to be a client project for my students, and know that my students are not going to be, as my mother said, don't embarrass me in public.
Right.
I know they're not going to. I don't have that fear. I know that by the time that the students come to my classes, one of the classes I teach is the senior marketing course, that they are refined, that they are polished, that they know their material. It's just a matter of finishing the polishing.
Right.
And that they are able to make a contribution through the projects that they do in this community, which is such an important part of our mission, the teaching beyond the classroom here.
Well, we're going to come back and talk about that life beyond the classroom and a little bit more about that marketing and some of those projects that we're talking about. We're going to come back, talk a little entrepreneurship. We got some goodies here. We'll be right back with Dr. Renee Fontenot here on GC Conversations.
I heard someone ask the other day, how did that law ever pass? But they never even contacted their legislator. My teacher says legislators are concerned about what people think and want to hear everyone's opinion, even mine, and I can't even vote yet. People ask, where's my voice? To me, it's easy. You can call, write, or email your elected officials anytime and let them know how you feel about an issue. Am I missing something?
Learn how you can make your voice heard by logging on to representativedemocracy.org.
Alzheimer's disease, if left unchecked, will strike millions, including baby boomers, their children, and grandchildren in the coming years. As a scientist studying Alzheimer's disease for the American Health Assistance Foundation, I'm well aware that continued research is our only hope for finding a cure. Call 1-800-437-2423 or visit ahaf.org for free publications on Alzheimer's. Learn what you can do to help battle this deadly disease.
Welcome back to GC Conversations. I'm your host, Wendell Staten. Today, again, we're joined by Dr. Renee Fontenot. And Renee, what is this?
Well, these are the herbs that my students through the entrepreneurship learning community, we started out as a residential learning community, but now we're just a learning community here, sell every Tuesday at the farmers market here in Milledgeville. Currently 3 to 6 every Tuesday, 200 block of East Hancock. You'll see the tents, and we're one of them down there. This is what we decided. The students came upon the idea when farmers market was initiated 3 years ago, and we were looking for an entrepreneurial opening, some way to have a small business that they could practice the skills of entrepreneurship. But they're all students, they all have other obligations, so having a full-time store doesn't really work. The farmers market was ideal because it's a time capsulated entity. So in the spring, they grew the herbs because they realized that that was an opportunity that wasn't being met by other vendors down at the farmers market. And they chose which herbs. We grew them through the summer. In the fall, they came back. We harvested and began taking them to market. Through the years, we've expanded the product line. We've branded them, so we now have the Superb brand.
The Superb as in herb, Okay, I like that. I like the.
One of the students'
brand.
ideas, and
Yeah.
they came up with the graphics for that, and of course, a touch of blue and green there, the nod to
Absolutely.
Georgia College.
Absolutely.
And they come to my yard, which is where we grow these.
Yeah. Well, that's
They-
what I was going to ask you. Yeah, you said we grow them, we harvest them. Where does that happen at?
Happens in my backyard.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And there's a wonderful community garden here.
Yeah.
We could have chosen other places, but my backyard made sense for me in the summer since I'm the one who's going to have to maintain them in the summer.
Right.
We also only use rainwater to
Okay.
water them.
Okay.
And so I have the rain barrels in my backyard. It's a little hard to transport that to
Right.
the community garden.
Yeah.
And we have enough rain barrels that we're able to save water so that even when we had drought conditions this summer, the
Okay.
herbs only got rainwater.
Wow.
So there's no chemicals from wells, and there's no chlorine or other chemicals from city water.
Right.
So it's really the pure taste of
Yeah.
herbs.
Now, how big of your garden spot is this? And
Wendell,
how
I
hard is
don't
this
know
to
that
grow?
I can share you with
Okay,
that.
that's right. That's right.
Giving away our trade secrets. We actually,
Do they come out every other day and weed the garden, or what? I mean, how does this work?
well, we have it so that they are in raised beds,
Okay.
which means that we have higher efficiency in smaller space.
Right.
And that also helps with the watering
Yeah.
and other issues. We do not use any fertilizers. We do not use pesticides. We don't use herbicides, so we do hand weed the beds. And of course, by having done that initially and keeping it up, the weeding is rather minimal now. It'll probably spring up here in the fall as new things are pulled out and we have a little more open space. But by growing them in 4x4 foot raised beds, we have a number of them,
Okay.
we're able to keep it all confined. And it also helps from some of the herbs from being spread too easily, because things like oregano and mint are opportunistic
Right,
growers,
yeah.
and so they will move everywhere.
Okay.
And by keeping them in a confined space, it kind of keeps them corralled.
All right, so the students grow this,
Mm.
and then we sell it. How does this tell me? Again, I'm thinking here as we're just talking, hey, this is small business 101.
It certainly is.
America's built on small businesses, so an entrepreneur comes in here and says, you know what, I'm going to grow this, I'm going to go ahead and sell it, and I'm going to make some money and put food on my table and feed my family, and this is literally what we're doing right here. And so we're teaching obviously valuable lessons, but this is literally hands-on, and they're doing it. So
They are doing it, and none of the students had any experience with gardening to any extent before. My grandmother had a garden, but
Right.
none of them themselves had done it. So we had a learning curve there. I became a master gardener so that I would have more expertise in Middle Georgia, since I'm not from here, on how to grow things in this area, which has, I believe, helped some in some of our choices. We chose herbs, of course, that we thought would be popular choices. So we have the usual, the oregano, the basil, the thyme, rosemary, etc. We also have catnip, which is a little unusual. It adds a little something different.
Absolutely, yeah.
We started out where we had, of course, fresh herbs, and then the fresh herbs become dried herbs, and then the dried herbs become ground herbs, so that we have a variety. And most people, you'll notice here, the ground herbs here, that's how most people would think of herbs when they buy them in the grocery
Right.
store. And so they know how to use the herbs when it's in this
Right.
form. Oftentimes people are not as familiar with how to use them when they're fresh or perhaps whole leaf dried.
Yeah.
And so like this is a dried basil,
Right.
but it's still the whole leaf. It could be reconstituted, it could be crushed, it could be ground,
Right.
used in a variety of
Sure.
different ways, depending upon their choices. We provide recipes. The students have learned ideas on how to integrate the herbs, so which herbs go best with which meats, and they've learned how to sort of discern where somebody's comfort level might be. You know, basil and rosemary are pretty safe herbs.
Right.
Many people are familiar with those, and but to sort of encourage people to adventure a little farther in their diet and in their palate,
Right.
to develop some other tastes. And of course, the catnip, typically people think of it as an herb that excites cats,
Yeah.
but it's a mint. It's in the mint family. So we actually have packaged it into tea bags over there near
Okay.
your coffee
I see.
cup.
Yep.
It's considered an antispasmodic, which means that you got a little tummy ache, you get a little
Okay.
tummy cramps, you make yourself a pot of tea, and we find that some of the older residents of Milledgeville, oh yeah, I remember when my mother used to do that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, it's the older residents who say of their mother. So
Right.
it's not something that our that younger people, and I'll include myself in that group at this point, are typically familiar
Yeah.
with.
Well, very interesting. Okay, so we sell these products, and then What is the name of the group, and what are their funding, and what is their role? And I know they compete and those types of things. Talk about that.
Well, we started out as an entrepreneurial residential learning community,
Okay.
and there were at one point, seven residential learning communities. As of this year, we are now just a learning community.
Okay.
4 years ago, when I became the advisor for the entrepreneurship residential learning community, it was essentially a freshman experience, and we through the years moved up, and we have graduate students and students from all majors and all levels in the organization. And it is individuals who primarily have a vision that in the future they will be an entrepreneur.
Right.
The students are responsible for obviously planning and that, as we've talked about, but also for the packaging. They're the ones that come to the house and cut the herbs. They're the ones that sell the herbs. They're the ones that decide what we're going to do with the profits. And what we've primarily been doing with our profits in the last year and a half is using them to help finance other entrepreneurs through an organization called Kiva.org. It's a microfinancing organization. And through that, we have made 9 loans so far.
We're hearing a lot about that microfinancing. That seems to be a very popular model all over the world.
Yes.
So very, very interesting that we're headed into that. Just a lot of good information. We're going to come back and talk more about this and maybe some of the other projects that your classes do and have done over the years, and maybe how, if I'm watching out there, I could get involved. So
Certainly.
We'll be right back with Dr. Renee Fontenot here on GC Conversations.
Hi, I'm Chevy Checker. A new twist in the law makes it easier than ever to save on your Medicare prescription drug plan costs. So what are you waiting for? Go to socialsecurity.gov and apply for extra help. It's easier than learning the twist.
Why do people think there's more disagreement in the state legislature than in most families? My brother and I argue about everything, even which TV show to watch. Mom says our elected officials debate important issues every day, and they may argue too, but in the end they compromise, and that's how the best decisions are made. Am I missing something?
Learn more about how compromise works by logging on to www.representativedemocracy.org.
Okay, welcome back to GC Conversations. I'm Wendell Staten along with Dr. Renee Fontenot, and we're talking entrepreneurship today. And let's go back here and tell me about your group. You said that you are a residential learning community, and now it appears that you're heading to even another classification or title, if you would.
Well, as of this week, we have become the SIFE group for campus. We've had a SIFE group before that was a separate entity. The faculty advisor, Rick Bilak, Dr. Bilak, retired this last year, and we have decided that we will become that group, and we will be going to training this weekend to find out more. But that SIFE is Student and Free Enterprise, and we hope to be able to compete in the spring in the competition. Some of the things that they look for are organizations that have attempted to develop a small business like we have, and it can be an ongoing business like we have, with the idea that there is some social entrepreneurship, some social consciousness or environmental issues. And of course, we bundle a number of things because our herbs are completely organically grown. So we've got the green element there. We are trying very hard to earn enough revenue so that we can then turn around and help others in other countries. We've helped, as I said, 9 different businesses with some loans in Mexico, Paraguay, Peru, I believe Bolivia. So we're helping people in other countries.
Fantastic. I look forward to, I know, again, our students, as hard as they work and as talented as they are, that they'll bring, this is going to be great for them getting involved in this organization. Let's talk about some of the, if I'm out there and I'm watching, you talked a little bit ago about some of your classes doing projects.
Yes.
How does that work? When you say I've got clients and they say, what do we describe all that for me? Okay.
Well, because this is my second career and not my first.
Right.
I understand that students, when they get on the other side of their diploma, so after graduation, some of the things that they're going to face, and most of our students statistically will work for small businesses. That is typically not how college business curriculum textbooks are written. They assume you're going to go for Nike and Coke and those type of things, and statistically that's not where students are going to work. one of the things that I have made it the goal is that through my classes, students will get hands-on client projects. And when I came here in 2006, I was joined by 2 other new faculty in marketing, and we rewrote the curriculum in marketing so that all marketing students have a minimum of 4 hands-on client projects by the time they graduate through the various classes. Right now I'm teaching promotions, advertising, and strategic, which is the capstone project. I use clients in both. It depends on the nature of the class, what the project will be. I'm always looking for clients.
Right.
What the process is that I become aware of somebody, they can contact me. Sometimes people refer them. Sometimes I walk into a business, or even my daughter has walked into a business and says, "Oh, Mom, this person I think could use some help."
Right.
And we have a discussion about whether or not that business is seeing an opportunity, whether they'd be open to working with students. There needs to be some trust. They need to be willing to provide some information that sometimes is sensitive or confidential, and the students sign confidentiality agreements, and I've never had one breached. And then the students work for the semester on solving a problem and then providing a year-long plan for that client. And then it culminates with, at the end of the semester, a formal written and or oral presentation to the client with all the elements that they would need to implement the plan for a year.
They say, I'm very excited about that, just listening to it, because if I'm a business, or if I want to start a business, I've got opportunities right here on campus that I can get access to. And what is the breadth of, it could be a marketing solution, it could be give me some examples maybe, how about that?
Sure. Let me start with the broadest, which would be a complete business plan.
Okay.
So one of the classes I've taught is the Small Business Institute course, which is a hands-on entrepreneurship type course where a small group of students, usually about 3 students, work. I like to call it hands-in instead of hands-on, because it really, they need to become almost embedded somewhat with the company to some degree,
Right.
so that they see that a business owner is responsible for cleaning the toilets as much as balancing the book and making payroll and paying taxes, ordering inventory, making sure that the store is staffed, etc. And through working with that business, then at the end they create a business plan that might be for expansion, it might be growth, it might be a new venture. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of at the broadest.
Okay.
On the other hand, marketing is typically thought of it as what we call the 4 Ps, which is pricing, it's place, which is distribution, promotion, which most people would think of as advertising, and then it's the product. And the product is everything that you take away in the exchange. So you take away the herbs when you purchase them, but we give you a recipe card to go with them. We may give you some suggestions on how best to store them, right. Those types of things. That's all part of what you take away as the product. Mm-hmm. So in the strategic course, there will be primarily a client project that is based on one of those 4 Ps, but you can't adjust one without thinking about the others.
Right.
Okay. The promotions course, of course, those projects are solely focused on the promotional aspect, right. Which is all the marketing communications an organization does, both internal and external. And so the students examine the business, do an analysis of the competition, the environment that they're in, and decide upon the best strategy and then what needs to be done to implement it for the next year.
Right. Well, again, talk about how I might, if I'm watching out there, how I may contact you.
Well, sure. I'm easy enough to find.
Find you on the web. Yeah.
Just open the window and yell out my name. I'm listening for you.
Or we'll see you at some event in town because you're at every one of them.
Well, you'll see me this Friday downtown
right.
At First Friday. My students will be selling cotton candy, the entrepreneurship students.
Great.
First Friday. See me at any chamber event. I'm
right.
chair for Partners for Progress,
right.
So I try to make it to as many ribbon cuttings and those types of things. Business after hours with the chamber. Yeah. I also shop local.
Right.
There's no point in leaving Milledgeville. We've got what we need right here. So you see me around town, but I'm easy enough to reach by email
right.
as well.
Okay.
My email is my name, which
right.
is Renee, Renee, Fontenot, Fontenot. That might
right.
not be as intuitive.
That's okay.
At gcsu.edu. And of course, if you call directory at the university,
right.
I've got a phone here as well,
right,
and so
right, yeah.
By calling campus directory and asking for me, people can get in contact with me. And there's not a limit in terms of the types of clients that we work
right.
with. We've worked with not-for-profit, we've worked for governmental organizations, we've worked for small businesses, we've worked for franchises. So the scope is quite broad. In the 6 years I've been here, students through my classes have worked with 130 different clients,
Wow.
unique clients. Not all of them have actually been in Milledgeville.
Right.
We've worked in other states, other countries. We had clients in Canada at one point, clients in Washington, clients in
Right.
California, Oklahoma, so a number of different places. But I try to focus local because
Yeah.
this is where I live, this is where we teach, this is where my heart is right now.
Absolutely. Renee, thank you so much. Well, my mind's racing 1,000 miles an hour about all the ideas and the access to this human capital and this knowledge base that is right here on our campus, our community working together. It's just wonderful. Thank you so much. Enjoyed it today.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Wendell.
great,
Appreciate
great,
it.
good. See you out there, okay? All
Yes,
right.
look for me.
For Dr. Renee Fontenot, I'm Wendell Staten. Thanks for joining us on GC Conversations.